Okay guys, so just like I said, I'm gonna analyze the Marmotte 2016 versus 2017. I'm gonna have a look at how I did on the climbs, how I did on the descents, where I was faster and where I was slower than last year. I really want to know so I can improve maybe for a next time. I'm not sure I'm gonna ride it again, but I've written down some times and I'm using Strava to check on the times from last year and this year. I've done it only twice, so most segments on Strava I have only two entries, one from last year and one from this year, so I can really see what the difference is between the two races. So have a look at my screen. I've got the Marmotte 2016 on the left and 2017 on the right. Here you can have a look at all the segments of those two rides. We start with the total time. Last year it was 7 hours 26. This year it's 7 hours and 2 minutes. I hear you think, why does he have his official time, which is less? That's because there's one descent which is neutralized. They take it out of the time of your official race time. So the descent of the Glandon is very dangerous. People have crashed there so many times that they take it out of the total time. So the time I ride in the ranking is not the same time that you see on my Strava. Last year 7:26, this year 7:02, so I went 24 minutes faster than last year in the total time of the race. Then this year I was riding with a power meter, so I've got more data. Last year I was using this little analog bike computer, so I used my phone for Strava, so the only thing I have from last year are times. I have no heart rate and no power data. So I'm just gonna check the times and then I can talk to you about the power of this year. Let's start by talking about the differences actually between last year and this year in terms of the route of the race and the things that I did not really have any influence on. So the whole route is the same, except last year we didn't take the top of the Galibier. We went through the tunnel. I'll show you the difference on the map. Because there was snow on the Galibier, so we could not go through to the top last year. Looking at the left of the screen, here you can see the route that goes over the top of the Galibier, but we took the tunnel, and then this year we went over the top. So that's about, I have calculated, it took me about 10 minutes to go over the top and down, and last year it took me about 3 minutes to go through the tunnel. So there's a difference of 6.5 minutes just by going over the top, so it was longer this year. Another difference, this year I had a low starting number, so I had a number 319. Last year I had number 5,000 something, so I was way in the back. They start by groups. Every half an hour one group starts, and in general the riders that are faster are in the front, but if you're a first timer you can end up all the way in the back. So that's what happened to me last year. And then there's a whole group of riders in front of you that don't go really fast, and you need to zigzag around them pretty much the whole race, like you could see on my my video of last year versus my video of this year, where I'm in the front group and I'm just riding up with all the fast guys, and you don't really overtake a lot of people. Then a little difference, last year I was riding with my buddy Joris, and we started together at the start. I was a little bit faster up the Glandon. I waited for him a while, we descended together, and then we were riding together a little bit in the valley, and then I was faster, and then I saw him back at the finish. But there were two little moments where I had a little bit more rest, and that is also why the total time was longer last year than this year, because I was waiting a little bit at the feeding points. So this was in a neutralized section of the ride, so it didn't add up to my total time like my official time, but it did add up to the total time of me riding that day. Alright, let's have a look at the segments. So 2016 on the left, 2017 on the right. You can see the first 24 kilometers of the Marmotte, I was already 5 minutes 40 seconds faster. The first group was going pretty fast, so it didn't take me a lot of effort, but I was going fast, so it makes up time already. And then we're gonna go to the climb, the Col du Glandon, 29 kilometers, 1200 meters of elevation. It took me 1 hour 27, and last year 1 hour 36. So I was over 8.5 minutes faster. So that adds up to 15 minutes already. Then at the top of the Glandon there's this neutralization, so you don't have to worry about descending too fast downhill. Anyway, my descent speed on this year was faster. And then we're gonna go to the flat section. Let's see if I can find this section. So you can see from about 60 to 80 kilometers, that's 20 kilometers of a little bit of uphill. And last year we were looking for riders to ride with, and I had a little group. It was going pretty fast, that's what I thought. This year I was looking for riders to ride with, and everybody was hanging in the back. Some riders were doing work, but not a lot. But anyway, I was faster. It can also be the wind, I don't know, but 2 minutes faster on that part. So it's 5 minutes 40, 8 minutes 30, and 2. So that's already about 17 minutes. So that's this flat section in the valley I'm talking about. Then we're gonna go to Col du Telegraphe, which is a pretty hard climb. It's 12 kilometers, 7% uphill average gradient, 45 minutes almost, and it was another 4 minutes faster than last year. Col du Telegraphe. And then if you look at these power readings from last year on the left, 2016, that's an estimate of Strava, so that's not correct. The power readings that you see on the right side, the 319 watts, that's what my power meter had registered. So I've done 320 watts for 45 minutes with an average heart rate of 173. I was working pretty hard on that climb, 4 minutes faster than last year. So coming up on the top of the Telegraph, I was looking at the time I was riding, and I saw I had 20 minutes advantage of last year. So I was pretty happy at that point. But that's when it got tricky. I was descending, there's a little descent after the Telegraph, and it was super cold. It was misty, and I had no leg warmers. I had a jacket, but my legs cramped up very bad, and that's when I started losing some time. We're gonna continue on the Strava segments, as you can see here. The descent, okay, the descent was about the same speed, but then a little, it's not flat, definitely not flat. It's 10 kilometers with 6%. There was a feeding point. I stopped there really fast to fill up my water, and from that time I had to slow it down a little bit because I was having cramps and I couldn't really push hard. So that's when I lost time, 3 minutes. Still 17 minutes up ahead of last year. Then the Galibier. Looking at if I can find a segment of the Galibier. Not really. I have this one, the segment all the way to the top. I've done that last year. I've done it once before the Marmotte, so it's not the same. I'm not comparing this one to the Marmotte of last year, because then we didn't go all the way up to the summit. Oh, there we go. The last 10 kilometers of the Galibier. That's a nice segment to compare. Last year, 47 minutes, 50 seconds. This year, 49 minutes, 27 seconds. So that's another minute and 40 seconds I was slower. So I was losing time from the Telegraph to the Galibier because I had these cramps. I couldn't push as hard as last year. I had a hard time getting up that mountain. I can really, I still feel the pain. And then descending the Galibier. Let's see my wattage actually. In the last 10 kilometers, you get up there. The elevation is high, so the air gets thinner and it gets harder. Average heartbeat 168. That's still quite high, but the average power was only 254 watts, as you can see here. That's actually normally that's below my aerobic threshold. So normally with this wattage I would be at a heart rate of lower than 145. But now I was doing 168, so you can see that both fatigue, cramps and the altitude makes your wattage and heart rate really change. So just going on wattage at that moment might not be the best idea because you're pushing way too hard. Descending Galibier went quite fast, so as I said we had to go over the top, so that's another extra time of 6.5 minutes, because last year it took me 3 minutes to the tunnel. This year it took me 9.5 minutes to go over the top. So right now I'm only 9 minutes ahead of schedule from last year. That's not a lot. Descending Galibier, 2 seconds slower than last year. That's okay. And then this whole section of from the Loteret until the bottom of the Alpe d'Huez. I had such a hard time. I was cramping. I'll show you which part that it is of the ride. So here's the Loteret, and then this part, it's all downhill. It's this part of the ride. And normally you can go really fast, but this year there was headwind. And also I had cramps again descending Galibier, and it got so bad I couldn't even turn over my legs because it would cramp in the front and in the back. So I just had to roll. People were passing me. I couldn't even join them because they would just push a little bit and I wouldn't even have the power to stay behind them. So I lost some time on that section. I lost a couple minutes. And then we're coming up to the Alpe d'Huez, the last part of the climb. That's this section. And I actually did a personal record. I have never done Alpe d'Huez on full speed with when I was fit. So my last time Alpe d'Huez was in the Marmotte. So I'm not super fast on this section, but imagine riding for 5.5 hours and then go up Alpe d'Huez. So I was still doing 166 in my heartbeat average with a power of 280 watts. At the bottom of the Alpe d'Huez, my buddy Joris, he was there, and I just gave him all my stuff. My jacket, my gloves, my arm warmers, empty drinking bottles. He gave me new water and some gel. And he just paced me up all the way to the top. So that was really great. And I did a PR, that's nice. And I remember the last section of where we went into the village. Marmotte sprint finish. It feels like it goes down because you've been riding up 8 to 10% the Alpe d'Huez for such a long time. And then when it goes down a little bit, you can just really pick up the speed. And you can see my heartbeat going up 174 average on that section, and we just went really fast, and I was faster than last year. Well, it's only 16 seconds, but whatever. Anyway, finishing in a time of 6 hours 38, 12 minutes faster than last year, and we went over the top of the Galibier, which took me about 6.5 minutes more. So you can say I was about 18-19 minutes faster than last year, which was very close to my goal. Looking at the conditions, last year it was warm but clouded, and I had no cramps. I think the cramps was from the big temperature changes, and it really slowed me down on a couple sections. So if I would not have the cramps, I was probably gonna be a lot faster. So yeah, that's the breakdown of the Marmotte. These sections, 4 climbs, are very hard, and you can see my suffer score for the epic suffer score of 358. I don't know what that means, but it's probably a lot. So yeah, that's it. That's a breakdown of Marmotte 2016, 2017. Biggest difference, the Galibier over the top, and the weather. The weather really got me this year. So, but anyway, I was really satisfied with the results. I'm happy. I don't know if I'm gonna do this again next year. It's a big thing to train for, and I think I'm gonna focus on some other goals next year. So that's it for this video. Tomorrow I'm gonna race in the Elite Man. I hope my legs are really recovered and ready for another race. I've got some other cool stuff coming up. I'm riding a race in Manhattan Beach, the Manhattan Beach Grand Prix. That's in 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And I'm gonna do some more local races here in the Netherlands. I'll keep you guys posted. Make sure you guys subscribe, check out my videos, and see ya!